Welcome back. My name is Shireen. I am a business coach and a success coach, and this is your space for Christian entrepreneurs and professionals to chat and talk about the things that are going on. And we are going to talk about shaping your mindset for success in every sense of the word, what that means. So it is important to know that everything starts with your mind. Everything starts with your a mindset. And this was particularly difficult for me to grasp because I somehow thought that when I started a business, all I had to do was put some stuff out there. All I had to do was maybe drop some links and show up and everything would be okay, right? Quickly learned that you have to shape your mindset. You have to transition your mindset to be for your success, to be about people, to be about helping people, and to be about forming relationships with people, and to shape your mind in to be rooting for you, because that's a very big, we have a lot of negative thoughts, to be about your biggest supporter, right? And to be about what and who God created you to be. So it is important to know that your mind moves in the way that you train it to move. Your mind moves in the direction of all of your thoughts, right? Whatever you think is how your mind is made up, is how your thoughts will form, right? So whatever you consistently think is what you have already deemed to be true. So if you are consistently saying negative things about yourself, you will deem it to be true, even though it is not, right? Because our mind is that powerful, right? Your life is made up of what you think, right, about yourself. So it is very important that we do constant work about how we think and what we fill our minds of, because it is the framework of everything we do, right? It will shape how you think, how you show up, how you walk, how you talk, how you act, how you portray yourself. It will shape all of those things, right? And we are supposed to be made new. There is a renewal of the mind every day, right? So Romans 12:2 says, "And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewal of your mind," right? "That ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God," right? It's really saying the same thing. Do not conform to this world. You are an ambassador. Do not be conformed to this world, but be changed, be transformed by the renewal of your mind every single day. Every single day. Have you ever noticed that if you wake up in the morning and you stub your toe first thing in the morning, and it hurts, you stub your toe on that little pointy jutty thing that comes out of the bed, I don't even know what it's called, right? Yeah. And it hurts, right? And suddenly the rest of your day is thrown off because of that, right? Our thoughts are important. That's how important our thoughts is. When we wake up in the morning, the first thing we think, right, is the foundation of what will go on for the rest of the day. And it's the same thing for our lives, because whatever we think every day will shape our lives, right? How we think is how we'll show up. So be transformed by the renewal of your minds. Be not conformed. So how are ways that we can start shaping our minds? Number one is choosing your community, right? Choosing your community. Birds of a feather flock together, right? Who you choose to be a part of your community does affect you, right? We cannot in this day and age think that who we are around doesn't affect who we are. That is craziness. It affects us. right? And your community isn't just people, right? I am talking about people, the people you are in your circle, your friends, your relationship, but also what you feed yourself, also your playlist, right? Also the things that you listen to, the things that you read, right? Everything is a part of your community. What are you feeding yourself, right? That's how we grow. We grow on consumption and putting things into action. What are you feeding yourself, right? So choosing your community, right? And being not conformed to this world, being like everyone else, I'm sorry, is not going to work. We are ambassadors. We think different. We talk different. We show up differently than people, other people of the world. And that is not a bad thing, right? So in order to not be conformed, we have to be transformed, and we have to choose who is in our circle, right? Number 2 is quieting your inner critic. I have talked about this before. Your inner critic is those negative things that come up in your head about yourself and what you deem to be true. It's going to happen at some point. We all have things that negative thoughts that come into our heads, right? Negative thinking, right? And a person who says that we are not good at XYZ, a person that says that in the back of our heads that we are not deserving, right? We can never lose that weight. You can never lose that weight. You can never start a business. You can never be a speaker. You can never write that book, right? You don't know enough. You didn't go to school. You didn't go to college. All of these things that enter into our heads, and we have to quiet that inner critic, because we know where that comes from. We know that comes from the devil. We know that those things are definitely not true. We know that it's not true. So what I do is give it a name. I give that inner critic a name. Mine inner critic name is Barbara. Again, don't be offended if your name is Barbara, but my inner critic name is Barbara. And whenever something like that comes up and she says something crazy, I say, please be quiet. Not today, Barbara. I don't have time today, Barbara. Please stop. Get out of my head, right? And what happens is the more that you do that, is the more that that voice becomes quiet. The more it starts to be replaced with God. It becomes replaced with God more and more, because you're quieting that voice and you are building up God. If you are consistently building a relationship and growing in God, that voice becomes louder and louder and louder, right? So quieting that inner critic. Okay. Number 3 is rephrasing the situation. Rephrasing the situation. Sometimes we blow things way out of proportion. Rephrasing the situation, right? If we say things like, I am never going to get to be healthy. Like, I'm never going to be healthy. I'm never going to eat right. I always start and I stop and I quit and all these things. Rephrase the situation. Be not conformed to the world, right? I think sometimes we say things to ourselves because we see other things that people say, right? And we so much want to be something like, okay, if I say I'm never gonna be healthy, I'm never gonna lose the weight, if I stay in that place, if I continuously speak that to myself, I'm never going to get anywhere, right? Especially if I compare myself and say, I'm never going to look like Kim Kardashian. I'm never going to have this type of body that I want, right? Instead of rephrasing that situation and saying, well, God made me special. I'm already amazing. I'm already beautiful. It's great to have healthy goals, right? But being stuck in this place is not getting me anywhere. Let's start off small. Let's start going to the gym, maybe just like once a week. Let's just start making better choices. Instead of trying to be conformed to the world and saying, I need to look like this in order to get a man. I need to look like this in order to be happy. I need to look like this in order to thrive, right? I think it's about rephrasing how we see things and not being conformed to the world, right? It is okay. Don't misunderstand me. Like, it's okay to have healthy goals, but how are you phrasing that to yourself? Are you saying to yourself that I need to look a certain way in order to get something? In order to be validated? I need, in order to feel beautiful, or whatever it is that you're saying to yourself, make sure, right, that it is in accordance to what God already says about you, right? You're already loved, right? So you don't need to do anything to get something else, right? It's about how you say things to yourself, right? And rephrasing the situation, taking baby steps toward your goals, and making sure that you're not conformed to the world, and it's not about how society sees you and all that crap, which we know is mess, right? And making sure that it makes sense to what God actually says to be true about you, right? And number 4, of course, is staying in the Word, building that relationship with God, staying in the Bible. So again, you know what is from God and what is not, right? We know that inner critic is not from God, right? And I have tools in which I deal with that, right? Like silencing that inner critic and telling her to go away, right? I have ways to deal with that. But again, I can only use that tool and actively shape my mind for success if I'm in the Word, if I am building a relationship with God, if His voice is getting louder in my head and other voices are not, is getting lower, right? I can only get to that point, honestly, by having that relationship and knowing what He says is true, knowing that no matter what, I am loved. I need to know, no matter what, I am cared for, right? I need to know what is acceptable to be around me, what my values are, who I am, who is supposed to be in my circle, the type of person that I should be forming relationships with, right? All of those things I feel like are things that you learn when you get closer to God, right? All of those things are things that you learn when you start forming a better relationship, is when you start shaping your mind for success, when you start shaping your mind to be who you're supposed to be, to fulfill your purpose, right? When you start shaping your mind for the kingdom, right? And it can be difficult, like everything is. It can be difficult, especially when you come from a place where you have been listening to the same songs for like a million years that you know are not conducive to where you're trying to go, right? When you have the same toxic Tammy and the same negative Nancy in your circle for about 3 years, and nobody's telling them nothing, and you still talking to the same people who have not experienced any growth in their lives, and they're so toxic, and they're bringing you down, and they're telling you to do things that you're not supposed to do, right? All of that is happening, right? So that you need to choose your community. You need to quiet that inner circle. you know, you need to rephrase the situation, stay in the word, and do not be conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind every single day. So how are you shaping your mind for success and for the kingdom? How are you shaping your mind, right? Lining yourself with the people and the things and the relationships that you're supposed to be aligning yourself with, right? How are you rephrasing certain situations, right? How are you doing that? I would love to know. All right.